My brother sold the house we grew up in while I was halfway across the country, but he made one mistake. He never opened the envelope Grandma left behind with my name written on it. If someone had told me 3 weeks earlier that I'd be standing in front of my grandmother's empty farmhouse watching strangers bid on my childhood, I would have laughed. Instead, I was gripping a dusty envelope so tightly that the edges dug into my fingers, and my brother had no idea what was inside. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 34 years old, and I work as an emergency room nurse in Indianapolis, Indiana. You learn a lot in NR. You learn that life changes in seconds. You learn people don't always get another chance to say goodbye. And sometimes, you learn those lessons too late in your own family. Grandma Rose raised my brother, Tyler, and me after our parents died in a car accident. She wasn't rich. She wasn't fancy. She still drove the same faded blue pickup truck she'd owned since the late 90s. But she gave us something better than money. She gave us a home. The farmhouse sat on 20 quiet acres surrounded by cornfields and old oak trees. Every summer smelled like fresh-cut grass. Every fall smelled like apple pie cooling on the kitchen window. Every Christmas, she'd tell us, family isn't who shares your blood. Family is who stays when life gets ugly. Back then, I believed every word. Tyler did too. At least, I thought he did. Growing up, we were close. Real close. We built tree houses together, skipped rocks across Miller Creek, shared one tiny bedroom for nearly 10 years. When I got accepted into nursing school, Tyler hugged me so hard I thought he'd crack a rib. You go save people, he laughed. I'll keep Grandma company. And he did. While I worked 12-hour shifts in Indianapolis, Tyler stayed in our hometown. He opened a small auto repair shop, married his high school girlfriend, started a family. Grandma loved having him nearby. Every Sunday she'd call me. Don't work too hard, sweetheart. I won't. I'd promise. Neither of us ever kept that promise. Then, last winter, everything changed. Grandma was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, stage 4. The doctors were honest. There wasn't much time. I drove down every weekend. Tyler came almost every day. For a while, it felt like we were kids again, taking turns making soup, helping Grandma walk across the porch, listening to her stories we'd already heard 100 times. One evening, about 2 weeks before she passed, Grandma asked Tyler to leave the room. Then she reached into her nightstand, pulled out a thick cream-colored envelope. Across the front, written in careful cursive, were 4 simple words. For Emily. Later. She smiled. You'll know when. I laughed. Grandma. What's in it? If I tell you now, double quotes ... it won't matter. She tucked it back into the drawer. Promise me something. Anything. No matter what happens after I'm gone. Don't let anger make your decisions. I promised. It seemed like an odd thing to say. I didn't understand it then. I wish I had. Grandma passed away peacefully 8 days later. The funeral was beautiful. Half the town showed up. Farmers, teachers, old neighbors, even people she hadn't spoken to in years. That's who Grandma was. Afterward, life got busy again. I returned to work. Tyler handled most of the paperwork since he lived nearby. I trusted him completely. Why wouldn't I? He was my brother. 3 weeks later, I was finishing a brutal overnight shift when my phone buzzed. It was Mrs. Henderson, Grandma's next-door neighbor. She sounded nervous. Emily, I hate to bother you, but are you coming to the auction today? I frowned. What auction? Silence. The farm. My stomach dropped. What are you talking about? Another pause. Oh, honey, I thought Tyler told you. I didn't even remember grabbing my car keys. 3 hours later, I was driving 90 miles an hour down State Road 37. My hands shook the entire way. Tyler never answered his phone. Neither did his wife. When I finally turned onto Grandma's gravel road, my heart stopped. Bright orange signs covered the front yard. Public auction today. Cars lined both sides of the road. Pickup trucks, trailers, strangers carrying numbered bidder cards. People were walking through Grandma's house, opening cabinets, testing furniture, laughing, negotiating prices. Like 40 years of memories were nothing more than garage sale junk. I slammed my car door so hard the whole parking area went quiet. Then I saw Tyler, standing near the porch, smiling, talking with the auctioneer. He looked surprised when he noticed me. Emily, what are you doing here? I stared at him. What am I doing here? What are you doing? He rubbed the back of his neck. I was gonna call. When? After everything was finalized. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You sold Grandma's house? He sighed like I was overreacting. We couldn't keep it. The taxes were too high. The repairs would have cost a fortune. So you sold it? Without asking me? It wasn't personal. It was practical. Practical. That single word hurt more than anything. Inside that farmhouse, every birthday, every scraped knee, every Christmas morning, every memory of our parents lived in those walls. And he'd sold it, like an old tractor. You had no right. He folded his arms. I had every right. The lawyer said I was executor. Everything was legal. Legal. Funny how people hide behind that word. Legal doesn't always mean right. I looked toward the porch. Grandma's rocking chair was already tagged with a bidder number. The quilt she'd sewn by hand sat folded on a table beside someone's coffee cup. I suddenly couldn't breathe. I walked past Tyler without another word, straight into the house. Everything smelled wrong. Not like cinnamon. Not like coffee. Not like Grandma. Just dust, cardboard, landlord, and strangers. I wandered into her bedroom. The bed was gone. The dresser drawers hung open. Closet empty. Then I noticed something. The nightstand. Still there. Forgotten in the corner. One drawer slightly open. My heart pounded. I pulled it open. Empty. Except one cream-colored envelope. The same one. For Emily. Later, my hands trembled as I picked it up. The seal had never been broken. Tyler hadn't even looked inside. Outside, the auctioneer shouted, "Next item." People clapped. Someone laughed. I slipped the envelope into my jacket. Then I looked back toward the living room one last time. For the first time in my life, I realized my grandmother hadn't been preparing me for her death. She'd been preparing me for my brother.